Welcome to the Workamper Show, brought to you by Workamper.com. This podcast helps you discover how to finance your RV travel dreams. Each one of our episodes will introduce you to people who are already living the RV lifestyle or to work camping opportunities all around the U.S. You'll also learn how to hit the road the right way and make the most of every opportunity. Now let's turn over today's show to your host, Greg Gerber.
Today I'm talking with a full-time RVer and van lifer who spent nearly 6 years traveling the country as an entrepreneur and business owner before she discovered work camping a few years ago. Today's episode is sponsored by Workamper News. Much more than just a job listing website, when you put the tools of this professional service into action, you'll find out just how easy it can be to turn your work camping dreams into reality. A Workamper membership opens the door to a one-stop shop for all things work camping. Being the original resource for work camping, you'll find the largest number of job listings, be able to connect with a community of work campers, and view resources compiled by experts who've been enjoying the RV lifestyle for many years. If you're serious about leading a successful and enjoyable work camping lifestyle, then membership is for you. Join today at workamper.com. Embark on new adventures today with the support of Workamper News behind you. Cami Baker loved being a business owner, but when she discovered work camping about 3 years ago, she found a lifestyle that better matched the freedom she has always valued. Her first work camping job took her to the redwoods of Northern California, where she worked as a housekeeper. Since then, Cami has had some unusual assignments, including quality control during an Idaho potato harvest, leading tours through a Texas cave, and serving as a camp host in Colorado. Along the way, she traded her Class C motorhome for a Chevy Express van, dramatically downsized her possessions, and learned how little she really needed to enjoy life on the road. In this episode, Cami explains why work camping has become her happy place, how she approaches the inevitable challenges of RV living, and why mindset can make or break a work camping experience. She also shares practical advice for people considering the lifestyle, especially the importance of researching jobs, RVs, and destinations rather than relying on strangers to make important decisions for them. If you've ever wondered what it would be like to simplify your life, hit the road, and use work camping jobs to support your travels, you'll enjoy hearing Cami's perspective. To tell us her story, please welcome Cami Baker to the show. Thanks for joining me today, Cami. I really appreciate the time. You've been RVing for a while. How long have you been on the road?
I have been on the road a couple months. It'll be 6 years that I've been a full-time RVer and now van lifer.
Oh, that's neat. What caused you to go into this lifestyle?
Some people's top value is family, and we all have our different values. My value's always been freedom and being able to come and go as I choose and please, and having a traditional job with a traditional house kept me in one spot, and I always wanted to be on the road, and now my only regret is that I didn't do it sooner.
Where are you from originally?
Well, I was born in Key West.
Okay.
Did not grow up there, but I did grow up in the South, in Florida and Georgia, and then about 25 years ago I moved to New England, where my baby daddy was from. And I raised her in New England, and now I'm just kind of from everywhere, although I do domicile in Florida. So people ask about that all the time,
right,
too. Where do you get your mail, and how do you register your vehicle and driver's license? And I've chosen Florida as one of the top 3 places to do that, and it happens to be my home state, so that's where I domicile.
Okay. That's fair enough. A lot of people do have that question. And why did you pick Florida? Because it was your home state and you were comfortable with it?
When I got on the road, just like everybody else, that was a big concern. You have to have a place to register your vehicles, etc. And as I looked at websites like yours and many others, did a lot of research and found out that South Dakota, Texas, and Florida, for many reasons, are the best for people who travel like I do, like we do. And of course, if those are the top 3 and I happen to be from Florida, I like having a Florida tag on my vehicle. And I'm a Florida girl through and through, even though I'm currently in Colorado and have been traveling around the country for 6 years. I've always got my flip-flops on and my peace signs on. So Florida is just my it's where my heart and soul is.
That's awesome. So have you been working the whole time you've been doing this?
No, I haven't. I actually started work camping going on 3 years ago. At first, I've always been an entrepreneur, business owner. I've written a couple of books and public speaking and lots of business training. When I first got on the road, that's what I was doing. But I got to tell you, Greg, it was sucking the life out of me. All the pressure, all the promoting and marketing and sales and conference calls and just the whole bit. And so about 3 years ago, I was on the California coast. I made it over to California. I was in San Diego, and I just had it with being a business owner. And I looked in workcampingnews.com, and I found a place that was in the redwoods of Northern California. And I thought, ooh, that's one thing I haven't seen yet that I'd really love to is the redwood. So that was my first gig, being a housekeeper in the redwoods in California.
That's neat. So you like the flexibility that work camping offers?
Not only do I like it, I don't think I could live any other way. When I think about being in an apartment, a lot of places I go, like where I'm at now in Colorado, I was a real estate agent for over 10 years, and I'm always curious about property values, and I'll look at it just out of curiosity. But when I let myself think about, dream about, ponder what would it be like to live here or there or wherever, I always come back to, I'm living here right now out of my van, and I can just load my motorcycle up, turn the key, and go live someplace else. So being in a sticks and bricks, it just does not appeal to me at all. Being on the road and being a work camper to support my lifestyle, of all the things I've done, this is actually where I have found my happy place.
You have owned several RVs, and now you own a van in which you're traveling with a dog. That's got to be tight quarters.
When they say downsize, get rid of half, man, they are not joking. So when I first got into a Class C, I got rid of a lot of stuff. And then I got to my mom's house and I put it all out in the driveway and got rid of more stuff. And then I moved into a newer, nicer Class C, but it had less storage. So I got rid of more stuff. And when I got into this van, I brought way too much stuff. And long story short, I have downsized and gone through. Just yesterday, I threw out another whole bunch of stuff and I donate stuff. So it actually makes life really simple to have what I need, not what I want always. And it stops me from impulse buying a little bit. I'm still an impulse buyer, but I know anything I bring in, if something comes in,
Oh, you froze up. If something comes in.
You got me now?
Yep. You were saying.
Yeah, sure. If something comes in, something's got to go out. In other words, I only have so much room for clothes. So if I buy a new pair of jeans, another pair's got to go. So I have to be really particular about what I buy.
That's neat. Our parents always told us that if we didn't get our act together, we'd wind up living in a van by the river. No, it's a lifestyle choice.
I see videos all the time with a caption, living in my van down by the river, people making fun and poking jokes at that. But it is so true. What better place is there to be than in a van down by the river? Now, look, I know a lot of people don't get it and they think we're homeless or destitute or whatever the mindset is. But for those of us who live this lifestyle, I kind of feel bad for people who don't, because they are stuck in one job that they are beholden to, and God forbid they get hurt or get sick. Most Americans are one paycheck away from getting behind on the mortgage or not being able to pay rent. I feel bad for people who don't understand how great it is to be living in a van down by the river or up in the mountains like I am now.
That's right. And you talked about downsizing, and that can be liberating for so many people when they realize how addicted they were to stuff And then moving into an RV and especially a van, you really have to downsize to the essentials.
Many years ago, I had a trunk, a good old fashioned trunk that had all of my annuals from high school and prom pictures and my baby pictures and my baby's baby pictures and all this stuff that I carried around from one attic to another state to a different vehicle, carried that thing around for 30 years. And one day I took all those photos and scanned them into my computer and threw all of the originals away. And at the time, this was like 10, 12 years ago, people were like, oh my God, you threw away your baby pictures? You threw away your prom pictures? And I said, where are all your pictures now? In my phone. I take it with my phone. I said, now all my photos are in my phone. And instead of having to crawl up in the attic where they were getting yellowed and dusty and it's a pain in the butt, if I want to show you my baby pictures within 30 seconds, I can pull it up and show it to you. So being able to downsize is, for me, has just been so liberating.
Absolutely. Some of the challenges that you might face as a van dweller is the restrooms. What do you do for restrooms and showers? Do you have a composting toilet?
I have a composting toilet, and I learned about composting toilets while I was in my RV. I kind of was preparing myself, even though I didn't know that I was. I was getting composting toilet, and I got a 3,600 watt solar generator. And I got all that stuff because I was thinking about doing more boondocking. But over time, I've just learned that at this point, you could not give me an RV with plumbing and a black tank and just all that stuff. I can do it. I did it for 5 years. But at this point, a composting toilet is so simple. It's better for the environment. It's easier to maintain. It's much smaller. No matter where I ever live again, I'll always have a composting toilet. And I think that eventually, the way the world's going and our systems are all so old and breaking down, I think eventually composting toilets or that kind of a system is what everybody will be using. So I love it.
That could very well be. What kind of work camping jobs have you had in your experiences?
Oh boy, have I had some fun work camping. So I've done the traditional housekeeping. I'm currently a camp host at a national forest, which I absolutely love. I think this is the best of all, just because of the whole layout in this particular company in this area. I really love it. And let me just say, it's all about how you make it, because there was another woman that was working here. I'm in the Turquoise Lake area in Colorado currently. We all got evacuated because of a forest fire about 30 days ago. And one of the women here she was like, I'm not staying here. I don't like this town. I don't like the people. She just doesn't like anything. And for me, I did all I could to stay. So they transferred me over to fill some other campgrounds so that I could stay around until they get our campgrounds opened up again. So here we are, 2 women, both of us in a white cargo van, both of us very similar in age and all that kind of stuff. But the mindset is where it's really at. You really make or break any area that you're in. So this camp hosting is really by far my favorite, but there's 2 really unusual work camping jobs that I've done. One of them was the potato harvest. Now, a lot of us hear about the beet harvest, and very similar in that it's a very small 4-6 week time period. It's in the north, etc. But the potato harvest was a lot of fun. I did quality control there. That was really interesting. I did that in Idaho. Imagine potatoes in Idaho. But the one that's really unusual, I was a tour guide at a cave. So I got both of these jobs off of Workamper News. And it's called Cave Without a Name in Boerne, Texas. And I would go down 158 steps, bringing groups of people down, and we'd walk out half a mile in this really exquisite, beautiful cave. And I was a tour guide, and then I'd walk them back up, and I did that 4 times a day. These are things that the average person doesn't do. They're great stories to have. They're experiences that I would never have done or considered or even known about if I hadn't have got into this lifestyle.
That's neat. I like to hear that you're enjoying it, and it sounds like some pretty fascinating kind of jobs. And how long is this current position last?
This one is only 3.5 months, which is really kind of good for me. I have a short attention span. In other words, I like to get in, do a great job, and go do something else somewhere else. It's 3.5 months. It basically is Memorial Day to Labor Day. And my campground is currently closed because of the fire, but we are looking to get that area back open by the end of this month so we can finish out the summer and through Labor Day.
Do you have plans for another job after Labor Day?
Yes and no. Anything and everything is open. I've been to Quartzsite. So Quartzsite, Arizona is a big place for lots of folks in this lifestyle. There's about 2,500 people that live there year round. And then between November to March-ish, they got 1.5 million people that come for the RV show. So I was there a couple of winters ago, and I actually did work at a gem shop for a little while, a little $20 an hour under the table kind of a thing. And I'm really considering going back down that way. I don't know why, it's just calling to me. I also do want to go back to the Pacific Northwest, which is where I had my first work camping job. But the beauty of, especially now that I don't have a big RV with a big payment and insurance and worrying about freezing pipes and all 8 miles to the gallon, the van really helps me to have that many more options. I get 14, 15 miles to the gallon, and the average person would say, oh my God, that's horrible. But when you're used to 8 miles to the gallon for 5 years, I feel like I'm living economically.
Absolutely. Have you faced any challenges while you've been out RVing?
Everything that I've never done before is a little bit of a challenge to learn about. But I'm one of those rare people who enjoy learning new things, being challenged. I had no idea about composting toilets or solar or any of that kind of stuff before I got on the road. My RV back in the day, I had a tire issue for a while. It was the same tire and kept having that was very scary to have a tire go flat while you're doing 60 miles an hour down the road. Had something to do with the stem on it was leaking. And sometimes when I would hit the button to pull the slide, I had to slide out, hit the button to have it pull in and have the jacks come back up in the rig. There's always that little heart skip of, oh, please, Lord, let it come back in. Don't let me be stuck here with my jacks down. And every little thing, even when there was a challenge, hey, look, take a deep breath and figure it out. So many people don't get into this lifestyle because they're waiting for the perfect opportunity. There was a post online about a week ago, and this woman said, I've got my van and I want to get on the road, but I'm so scared. Give me one word of encouragement that will push me over the edge. And I thought, if somebody is looking for strangers to give them a word of encouragement to get on the road, man, that is a recipe for disaster. Because once you get on the road, and you have that flat tire, you're going to put out a post for words of encouragement? Well, you got to figure it out. You either figure it out and find somebody to fix it, or you learn how to fix it. And I have learned how to fix a lot of stuff.
I can imagine over the years. And it's good that you learned that because it saves you a bunch of money.
It not only does it save you money, Greg, but I can't tell you the sense of satisfaction, of accomplishment, of personal sovereignty, knowing that you can handle anything that comes along. Really, what's the option? You're just going to sit down and stop breathing and die? Well, you can figure it out. You're going to get it done. So I feel so empowered and just able. I know that anything that comes up in my life, me and my dog, as long as me and my dog and my van and my motorcycle are all living and running and feeling good, that's what's important.
Have you had any fears or uncomfortable positions or situations as a single woman on the road?
I see videos of people who talk about that. When I first got here to the Leadville, Colorado area, I'm working in a national forest, and I got here 10, 12 days before anybody else. And they let me go ahead and set up, get a key to open the gate. I was the only one in the forest, other than people who are local and they come out and they run their dogs, just park them beside the road. I gotta tell you something, that was unnerving, being in the forest by myself and silent, absolute silence. No wind, no birds, no rustling, chipmunks. It was so eerily quiet.
That is eerie to be that quiet.
They say when you're in a forest in the woods, when everything is quiet, it's because there's a predator or there's something around that's making everything go quiet. If the birds are chirping and all these things are happening, that's true. If a predator shows up, they all feel it. They know, they get quiet and hunker down. That's where my mind goes. And I was afraid I had a pop-up. I bought a pop-up camper to use while I was going to be in one spot for 3 or 6 months so I could stand up. And the thing about a pop-up, when you're in the forest, it's kind of like being in a tent. And if a mountain lion or a bear or something wanted to get at you, they're getting at you. So I've got my bear spray. I've got a horn that I can blow. And I carry that bear spray with me everywhere I go. My dog and I have been attacked. We actually got attacked by 3 pit bulls at one of the most exquisitely beautiful RV resorts in Florida you've ever seen, right on the beach, $25 million, beautiful resort. We got attacked by 3 pit bulls. So I carry that bear spray with me all the time. And boy, does that give you some confidence when you're carrying that stuff on your hip. So never had anything actually happen. I've gotten the knock, when you're asleep and it's 2 a.m. and you get the knock on the door, whether it's the police or whether it's security for Walmart or just some random person. That makes your heart skip a beat. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. But I gotta say that I feel safer traveling in the van than I would be in an apartment. One little story, I was at when I first got the van, I brought way too much stuff. So I was at a Home Depot in Tampa, and I needed to get a different setup with totes and things like that. So I pulled all my stuff out, like all of it out, and found a spot where I could be out of the way, in the shade, out of the traffic. And I start pulling my stuff out. And this guy, a homeless guy, came over, and thank God he didn't come over until I was just loading my motorcycle. I'd already done all the rearranging, and I was loading the motorcycle. And he came over and oh my gosh, I've been watching you, and you've restored my faith in women. You're working so hard. I never thought you'd get all that stuff back in there. But so he's asking me all these questions and where are you from and what do you do? And after about 10 minutes of that, I said, listen, brother, I said, I really appreciate all the compliments and the words of encouragement. He said, but it's hot out here and I'm loading this motorcycle. And I just don't want to tell you my life story. I'm sorry. And he flipped on a dime from all these great words to, oh, that's how you are. And I could hear him go over to a friend and just really start busting my, what. And so my heart was racing. But I got my motorcycle loaded up and I left. And I remember thinking, if I was in an apartment, same thing could have happened in an apartment parking lot or in a neighborhood, if I was out in my driveway. And if that had happened in a place that I lived, I couldn't have got away from that guy. He would have known where I lived. I would have been paranoid about him coming back and him being there at 2 a.m. when I come home from work or whatever. But when you're in a van, if something like that happens, the minute I pulled out of that parking lot, he was out of my life.
That's a very good point to make. Does it help traveling with a dog?
It would if the dog was assertive or scary or would even bark. My sweet little girl, she's a rescue I got in Orlando. I've had her for 3 years. Well, she doesn't even bark. I haven't heard her bark in the last 4 months. So when those pit bulls attacked us, I actually got in the fetal position over her, covering her. They were going after her, not me. And I had to protect her. I actually got bit protecting her. So yes, if you have a dog, it is a bit of a deterrent. They say that even a little ankle biter will deter someone from trying to rob you. And God forbid, when she goes across the Rainbow Bridge, the next dog I get might be a little bit bigger, might be a little more of a protection for me. But even though she's not really protection, she's company. She's my best friend. When it does get cold at night, we do keep each other warm. We cuddle. She gets me out walking when I'm being lazy, and she's just staring at me, and I know she wants to go walk. So an animal is really just so good for your spirit and your heart and your soul.
Where are some of the places that you and your dog have traveled in your van or your RVs?
So my dog and I have been from Key West to Crescent City, California, and many places in between. When I first got her, I wanted a dog that was 30 pounds or less so I could carry them on my motorcycle. So I've created a way to carry her on the back of the motorcycle. And within 30 days of having her, I had her on the back of my motorcycle down in Key West, scooting around all the roads down there. And then we went from there to San Diego and then up the Pacific Coast Highway. Oh my God. Whoever's listening, if you have one thing to put on your bucket list to do before you die, take the Pacific Coast Highway. Being a Floridian, I grew up in Florida. I've been on the East Coast, West Coast, Panhandle, Key West, all of Florida. And honestly, the beach is a beach. On the Atlantic coast, it's darker sand and darker water. And on the Gulf side, it's sugar sand and really beautiful, but they're all flat beaches. But man, when you go up the Pacific Coast Highway, every 10 miles is a completely different ecosystem, a different type of beach. Maybe it's on a cliff, maybe it's straight seals and rocks and the whole thing. So I would say the Pacific Coast Highway has been one of my favorite journeys. Of course, when we left there, we went through Mount Shasta. That's definitely something to see. From Mount Shasta, we headed over to do the potato harvest. So we were in Idaho for that bit of time. We left there. We went down through Sedona, saw the red rocks down there. Boys, one of those roads is to die for as well.
Highway NA, yes.
Yep, coming right into the town there. And by the way, if you ever go to Sedona, they are anti-RV. They don't care anything about you having your RV in that town. There's no place to pull over to even look at a map. There is no place to park in the grocery store in your RV. I'm telling you the truth. If you ever go to Sedona, you better bring your groceries. And if you need to go to a grocery store, you got to park that RV and ride your bike or your motorcycle or your tote in, because you're not parking your RV in there.
That's great advice. If you had to start over again, is there anything you do differently?
You know, a big one for people to ask. And I honestly have to say no. Every vehicle I've had, this is my third traveling vehicle. I had an older Class C that was a Coachman Leprechaun. I had another Class C that was a little bit newer. Now I'm in a Chevy Express 2009 2500. And I've had 4 scooter motorcycles that I've carried on the back. And everything that I've bought, everything that I've fixed, everything that I've added or removed has all been such a learning experience. And I think that for me, when I think about people wanting to go back and change something, it's almost like saying there's something wrong with me. And if I could change this thing, it would make me a better version of myself. And I just have to say, I love who I am today. And And there's nothing that I would change, because if I changed any dollar I spent, any work camping job I had, any road that I drove on, I would be a little bit different than I am today. And I'm not looking to do that. I'm not looking to change who I am.
And there's no guarantee that if you change that variable that you're not going to screw up something else, right?
That's true. It's the butterfly effect. You turn left or you turn right, and either way, you meet somebody different. You get hit by a car, you get attacked by 3 pit bulls. Even when that happened, I really thought about it. I thought, what? Why did this happen? What is the lesson? What is this all about? And even that was a bizarre blessing in disguise, because I was on the clock. I worked there. It turned into a workman's comp thing, which really was a worse situation for me because of just legally. But at the end of the day, it gave me the opportunity to get rid of my rig, the payment, and it was an albatross around my neck, the payment and all that stuff. And with the money that I got, I paid cash for my van. And today, everything I own, I paid for. There is no payment. And that incident helped me to shift, to pivot, as they say, to go from, oh my God, I got to make XYZ in order to even make the payment, or it's going to get repossessed, to the freedom of not having payments and not having, and even now, since I've been in Colorado, when it has snowed, which is weird, I left Florida in February because it was already getting too hot to be in the van. And I get to Colorado and it snowed all the way through into the last week of May. And I never once had to worry about freezing pipes. I just didn't have to worry about any of that stuff. I haven't had to worry about, is my slide going to keep working? And everything on the rig worked fine. It worked great. I wasn't having any issues, but it's just a matter of time when you got all those systems and the jacks. When the jacks would go down, sometimes they'd get stuck. And there's always that one time that the jacks are going to get stuck and you're not going to be able to move from where you're at. What are you going to do? Now that's a big bill. I don't have to worry about that with the van. The van runs great. I bought a brand new motorcycle. It's got less than 500 miles on it. And life is good today. It's just me and my dog. I love my work camping job. The people there love me. I'm an excellent cleaner. I'm obsessive with cleaning and organizing. And it's turned into just a really wonderful trait to have while I'm on the road.
That's awesome. Is there any advice you would give to people who are considering jumping into the RV lifestyle or thinking about becoming a work camper?
First of all, if you're thinking about it, then do it. But to be a little more specific, people I see in Facebook groups all the time, and what kind of rig should I get? Just a random generic question. What kind of solar should I? It's kind of like saying, hey, I'm going to get married. What kind of man should I have? Really? Really? Is that all the information you're going to give somebody to try to get advice? So I would really suggest to people, slow down so that you can go faster. In other words, research. Start looking. So when I first decided I'm going to get an RV and I'm going to get on the road, it was September of 2020. And every day I was looking on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, all the places. I didn't know anything about RVs or brands or sizes. I didn't know what a Class C was compared to a fifth wheel. Had no idea. So for 4 months, this seems to be the pattern for me. For 4 months, every day, scroll, swipe, research video, learning what is on the market, learning what you can get for your dollar, learning what's a good deal. How are you going to know what a good deal is if you don't do your poking around? So in January of 2021, long story short, this Coachman pops up. It's $8,000 cash. I could afford to just buy it outright. And I had looked enough to know what was a good deal and what wasn't. So I bought that rig. And then when I knew that I was going to get that workman's comp money and I knew that I wanted to get into a van, it was May of last year. And I searched and I looked. I didn't know anything I didn't know the difference between a 1500, 2500, 3500. Why are Chevys 2500s, but Fords are 150, 250, 350? What's the difference in a Chevy and a Ford? So I really did the poking around. And 4 or 5 months later, when I had the money, I knew it was a good deal. I knew what I could get for my dollar. I knew how many miles would be a good, fair amount. So instead of asking a random generic general question, what kind of man should I have? Start looking to see what is available. And what do you as a human being need? What do you really need when you get on the road? Because when I first got on the road with those Class Cs, I needed a full bath. I needed to have certain things that my ego wanted me to look a certain way to other people, especially when I was in my business and I was out meeting people and I had a 6-foot image of my book on both sides of the RV. So I needed a certain look of an RV. I didn't want to put that on my 22-year-old RV. So I got an upgraded one. But the point is really understand what is available so that when it's time for you to get the rig, you'll know it when you see it. It will jump out at you. This particular van that I have, when I saw it, I knew immediately that's the rig for me. And I went and I test drove it and I bought it that day. So it's really a matter of looking into what is available so you really understand what the lifestyle is all about.
Very good. Now, I understand that you have produced a number of videos about your experiences over the years and the handle Coolest Hippie Chick Ever on YouTube. What kinds of things do you talk about in your videos?
When I first started that channel, I was in the Class C, and one of my most popular videos was letting the poo out, just doing the poo. I think I had 800,000 views of a video about letting the poo out, cleaning it out. So all that kind of stuff. I'm one of the few, really the only one that I see, that has a motorcycle on the back. I had it on the back of my Class C, and then I brought the same hauler onto the van. So I've done a lot of videos about how to load the motorcycle, videos of me putting it on and taking it off. So I had a lot of educational things. And also, when I had my Class C, I had a lot of hula hoops. One of the things I can't carry in this van are a lot of hula hoops, but I do have 2 that break down into pieces so I can squish them away. But I used to get on top of the RV at the Golden Gate Bridge. There's a video of me hula hooping with the Golden Gate Bridge in the background, and a video with the Grand Canyon in the background. A video with the rig on the beach. Somebody videoing me from up on a hill with the beach behind me, hula hooping on top of the RV. So a lot of educational stuff, but also a lot of just fun stuff, being the dog on the road, walking and doing our thing.
That's wonderful. How can people connect with you if they'd like to stay in touch with you or to ask you a question?
Facebook, I do a lot of private messaging on Facebook. So my handle on Facebook is my name, Cami Baker. I think it's Cami Baker 93 is the actual one. But if you go on there, you'll see. You can't miss versus other Cami Bakers. I do a lot on TikTok, but I'm not real big on responding to messages on TikTok. So if you really want to get a hold and talk to me, it will be a private message on Facebook.
Very good. And we'll be sure to link to your YouTube channel as well. But I thank you so much for your time today. This has been refreshing hearing you talk about your experiences. You're living the best life ever. And I like to talk to people who would do that.
I really am. And I also want to give a plug to your organization because there's a lot of Facebook groups about work camping, a lot of them. They say you get what you pay for. And sometimes free posts, the free posts are going to people who afford free. And sometimes if you just pay a little bit of money, if you make a little bit of investment, if you're wanting to be a work camper, if you have the website that you folks have, I've gotten three of my gigs have come straight from Work Camping News, and I just love to go through it. So here's a little tip. If you're wanting to be a work camper, if you want to do it in a certain area, if you go back through Work Camping News's archives and you say, okay, I want to be in Crescent City, California. That's where I was at first. Go back through and you can look up California. You can look up people who understand what work camping is, and they've had work campers and they have them now. You may want to be a housekeeper at a certain KOA or a certain place. Down in Texas, you can drive and park right on the beach, 300 miles of beach. If you want to be a work camper in Galveston, they may not have a post right this red hot minute for a housekeeper, but if you find an RV park who's posted about it before, you know that they understand it, you know that they're open to it, you can always, the phone number and the email is right there. And you can just reach right out to them and say, hey, I see you're not looking for a housekeeper, but I'm the best damn housekeeper you'd ever have. Do you happen to have anybody maybe leaving in the next month? In other words, really be creative and invest that $30 or $40 for the year or whatever it is, because that one job that you get is going to be a better quality than just a random free post.
That's good advice, Cami. I really appreciate it. Thank you again for sharing all this wisdom and knowledge with us. I wish you the best of luck going forward.
I really appreciate you giving me the chance to share some of my experience, and I encourage anyone who has a question to reach out. But if you reach out to me, you're going to get the truth, right? You're not going to get sugar-coated. So if you reach out, just know that I'm going to tell you like it is, not how you want it to be.
Thank you again. Cami Baker's story is a great reminder that there isn't one correct way to be a work camper. For her, the journey started in a Class C motorhome and eventually evolved into traveling in a van with her dog and motorcycle. What stands out most is how much Cami values freedom and self-reliance. Every challenge she has encountered, whether dealing with RV problems, downsizing her possessions, or adapting to unfamiliar situations, has helped convince her that she can handle whatever comes next. Her advice for aspiring work campers is especially important. You need to slow down so you can go faster. Do your research before buying an RV or van, learn what is available, determine what you really need, and understand what your money can buy before making a decision. Cami also encouraged work campers to be proactive when looking for jobs. She suggested searching past Workamper news listings for employers in places you want to visit. Even if those employers aren't advertising today, a previous listing shows they understand work camping and may be receptive to someone reaching out directly. People can follow Cami's adventures on YouTube, where she posts under the name Coolest Hippie Chick Ever. Her videos include practical information about RV and van life, as well as some of the fun she and her dog have experienced while traveling. People can also connect with Cami on Facebook. Today's episode was sponsored by Workamper News. Creating a resume can be a cumbersome and intimidating task, especially if you haven't written a resume in many years. The unique Workamper News Resume Builder takes you through a step-by-step process to build a complete resume with all the information Workamper employers are looking for when reviewing applications. Once complete, your resume can be emailed to anyone, and the software tracks when and who you have sent it to. You can print out the resume or make it into a PDF, which can also be uploaded or emailed. Some employers never advertise, not on Workamper.com or anywhere else. They find all of their applicants just by searching the Workamper News Resume Database. If you don't have a resume in the Workamper.com database, you'll be missing out on some great opportunities. To open the door to more work camping jobs, become a Workamper member today by visiting Workamper.com. That's all for this week's show. I'll have another fun interview with a work camping couple that I will share with you next week. Thanks for listening.